problem, reaction, solution. That's a bastardization of the Hegelian principle. It's much more, the words are different, but basically that's what Hegel said. Again, not a Hegel expert, but that's the concept. Problem, reaction, solution. Create a problem. We have a trade imbalance with other countries. We have trade deficits with every other nation because we're a larger nation. We have more money. But let's make that a problem. The reaction, higher tariffs on goods coming from those countries to level off the trade imbalance. So America isn't being taken advantage of anymore, right? And the solution will be making America great again. Manufacturing jobs will come back into the country. You will be making more at work. You will be making more money because the economy will be stronger here because we'll recapture our once thriving manufacturing base. That's what Donald Trump and his team did with the tariffs. They're continuing to do this, but today they have basically backed off China. They basically have given it a 90-day, I wouldn't say they're suspending the tariffs, but he's giving them a 90 days, and he's lowering many of the tariffs that he put a month ago, a little over a month ago, on these countries. This was Donald Trump now can go out and do another press conference and show what a deal maker he is. He created the problem. He reacted to a problem that he created with this, and his solution. His solution, though, however, is not really a solution because there was never really a problem to begin with. The problem, if you want to make America great again, or if you want to bring manufacturing back into the United States, then you invest in manufacturing. It's so very simple. It's almost comical. But if you're a conservative or a Republican, you don't want to add anything to the budget that isn't going to either be a tax cut or a giveaway to your buddies. This would have been the smart move. You invest hundreds of billions of dollars in infrastructure around the United States. You create a manufacturing base that is government funded. Of course, it's going to be Keynesian, right? It's going to have some private industry and it's going to have some government money in it. But at first, it's going to be predominantly government. They're the ones. You're going to be hiring people. Now, we of course know that will never happen in America because of capitalism. Capitalism and the conservative way of looking at the economy is privatization. The government does nothing. The 9 words from Ronald Reagan, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. They use and of course we've heard from Linda McMahon, and who's the head of the Secretary of the Department of Education and others, that the government shouldn't step in and do what they did with the PPP loans or the TARP bailouts or the student loan help that was given, that's being taken away. Because it's immoral for the government to help anybody economically using somebody else's money to help other people. Never mind that's what society is. Never mind that's what government's purpose is to take the large sum of money paid in by everybody and help those who need it most. You know, the disabled, the elderly, those types of people. You know, empathy, but actually putting it into law so you don't have to just depend on the kindness of conservative Christians, because as we know, the kindness of conservative Christians is not kindness at all. It's pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which was a joke, but they've run with it because, you know, you can't pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. But it was a joke. I think it was Will Rogers, maybe. I can't even remember. But anyway, but now Donald Trump can go out and do more press conferences, and we get to watch that moron, that Levitt idiot, that blonde ditz who's married to a man that's 35 years older than she is, thinks she had a complicated relationship with her papa, thinks she got some nightly visits from daddy. But anyway, got some visits from daddy. Maybe daddy was a little bit, anyway. These people are fucking hilarious to me. They are, the stuff with Kash Patel, the stuff with Robert Kennedy, Pam Bondi, Pete Hegseth. Then there's Jeannie Pirro, who's going to now be the chief lawyer in Washington, D.C. So he can now get some more of his crap pushed through and get no resistance from the court system. These people, they don't really care about the Constitution. which they always talk about. They don't really care about law. They care about this cult of personality that is Donald Trump and MAGA, making America great again, going after minorities, going after the poor and the working classes, and going after, they're trying to cut Medicare. They're trying to get 8 million people off of Medicare, just cutting them there, and Social Security will be next. Even Republicans like Josh Hawley are coming out and saying, you guys cannot do this. I'm from a district, I'm in a state that, and many other Democrats or Republicans are saying this. You cannot cut Medicare and you cannot cut Medicare and you cannot cut Social Security because too many people in my districts, too many people in my state are dependent on it. And it would literally put people on the street or have people so they couldn't get health care. And that Medicare Plan B bullshit scam is just one more step for privatization, which has got to be one of the sickest evil. I don't believe in evil. I don't believe in the supernatural. But these motherfuckers, they just keep proving me wrong. Hey, let's take the most vulnerable in our society and fuck them over so we can give some tax breaks to somebody who doesn't need it. And this is the American way. This is capitalism. And this is all being done by Christians, which is even this is my favorite part. Everyone, and whether they're lying or not, I have to take them at their word that in fact that they are Christians, that they love the Lord Jesus Christ, but they really love that God. They haven't really read the Bible, and they don't really have a problem with the God of the Old Testament. That's their favorite God. The one that approves slavery, the one that's all for empire, controlling women, men in power, etc. And all Trump did was create a problem that didn't need to be solved. There was no problem with trade imbalances with countries. America was not being taken advantage of. If anything, America was taking advantage of other countries. And what's prompting all of this is the threat of the bond sell-off. That was the big threat, that China and other countries were going to stop, or at least not buy as many bonds as they had been buying in the past. America is the largest debtor nation in the world. We have more debt than any other nation. And it's because we sell our bonds. That's our debt. We're in debt too. What are we really in debt to? We create our currency based on sales of bonds. But anyway, but this is what is happening in America right now. You're letting a con artist who you gave unregulated power to, basically, with the Democratic Party that is so weak right now that it's fighting over a kid in Florida, David Hogue, who's now just the second in command at the Democratic National Committee. And he's trying to make some slight social changes and do some things, but none of them are really going after the economy. None of them are really Democrats. They're corporatists. They're neoliberal. And what they want to do if they get back into any sort of power, which it looks like they probably will, they just want to have neoliberal policies which bred Donald Trump, which gave Donald Trump his rise over the last 20 years, and that kind of idea of populism and direct, bold action. And of course, conservatives are the authoritarian mind raised in family. I've made videos about this, about how the authoritarian mind thinks. And Trump is daddy. Trump is they say it, Daddy Trump. I mean, I've seen women with Trump is my daddy, my daddy, my daddy. It's the same shit with the Fauci. Remember, daddy, he's daddy. Like the grossest, lowest common denominator, low-hanging fruit garbage is this generation and its wordplay. It's borderline retarded wordplay. Cringe. Daddy. Call me daddy. Like the creepiest. Why would a grown woman call someone daddy? That's like a sexual object? Were you molested? We shouldn't be encouraging that with our girls and our women in our society. But anyway, Trump created a problem. He reacted to the problem, and now he's solving the problem. And it's all a mental exercise game. I don't think he's smart enough to have planned this long term. I think he legitimately thinks that tariffs will somehow manage to materialize manufacturing jobs in America. There's no more there's no manufacturing jobs coming here. And Apple, now with this China, this relief on the tariffs from China, Apple's still raising the prices of their iPhones. They're still not good. They're talking about building in Texas, but now they're shifting that to India. They'll just go someplace where the tariffs are less. They're not, the labor is what this is about. This is about profit. And if it's still profitable enough to make shit overseas rather than here because of American labor costs, they're not going to come here. Doesn't matter how big this market is, they'll absorb the tariffs and keep selling their junk to us. And we'll keep buying it because we're stupid. And Trump has, like I said, this is for his people. This is for his dumb shit, idiot, moron people who think anything Donald Trump does is good. He over promises and under delivers, just like about every president that's ever existed, every politician. And Trump is no different than that. And because of Trump's bluntness, because his willingness to be an insult comic, because of his willingness to say horrible, mean, derogatory things to people, it kind of offsets his incompetence to MAGA. What MAGA really wants is to be rich. What MAGA really wants is money in their pockets. And they want Mexican people out of the country. They want Latinx people out of the country. And they want all of the sacred cows of our society, like the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, the police forces. They want them bolstered. You can see this in country music. Jason Aldean, that dumb song, Try This in a Small Town. Try that in a small town. Small towns, home of meth addiction, no jobs, racism, Christian fascism. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever lived in a small town. They're not the fucking best places in the world to live. But that's the idealized version that conservatives have because they're dumb and they don't think and they're emotionally immature. And so you see this all over the place. That's what they want. They want to return to a time that didn't exist. That's what MAGA wants. That's the trick of MAGA. I realized that I made videos about when was this great time? And I would go through each decade and tell the different problems with those decades. And I realized that's not what MAGA cares. They don't care about a better time. Their better time never existed. It was never better. It never existed. They don't even know. They just want it. That just makes sense to them that things are not great right now for them, particularly economically. And they're watching a demographic change. They're watching a demographic flip. Why would they be so anti-woke and anti-DEI? Why would they be so anti-minority? Why would that one woman who said called a 5-year-old the N-word, how would she raised $1 million, almost $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 already by using the N-word? This is MAGA. And it's not just MAGA in this country, it's MAGA. It's the fascism that's creeping in all over the world, blaming the other. The EU is doing it right now with Muslims. Muslims that their own companies from those countries brought in because they needed the labor. This is the part that people don't understand about immigration. If there was plenty of labor in this country, and by the way, if they couldn't exploit the labor, because then you bring the immigrant to compete against the citizen, and then inevitably everyone's lowers their wages. It's an old strategy. It's kind of a divide and conquer. It's kind of leverage, whatever you want to call. And so MAGA now is applauding the hardcore MAGA. His poll numbers are absolutely terrible. Like even with MAGA's like, we kind of fucked up this one. We kind of dropped the ball on this one. We really don't know. We really don't understand small government. We really don't understand subsidies, farmers particularly. We really don't understand the trade wars. We really don't. And he doesn't either. And now all of these guys who are sending stuff to China doesn't want it anymore. China's like, hey, we got 1 billion people. Plus we're in the BRICS countries. We can trade with anybody we want to. We don't even need to use the dollar. And these people don't understand. MAGA doesn't understand it. And they think that what Trump did was good. So now Trump's backing off his tariffs because he can say that he made a deal with China. He didn't. China just was waiting. China was like, hey, you'll be gone soon. We have China makes, they're a planned economy. They make 5-10-year plans. They're not like the United States where it's just the whims of the stock market. They have a plan and they'll just stick to it. And like history has shown us in the last 40 years of China, they will succeed. They don't need the United States as bad as the United States needs them. And that's just a true fact. Thank you for listening. And don't get sucked into the problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian bullshit. Think for yourself. Thanks for listening.